I'm Marianne Pizzitola. I'm president of the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. Today I'm here with
Councilman Bob Holden. I represent the 30th Council District in Queens, mostly Western Queens.
And we're here today to talk about New York City municipal retiree health care.
Among other things.
Among
right?
other
and
things.
You are the hero of many retirees like myself.
Well, thank you.
Who had some victories lately, and we thank you for that. And so you're amazing that you took this on. It was probably engulfed your life actually for quite a bit of time. But you kind of are the reason why you're my hero, because I'm a retiree from CUNY, 44 years. And what I love about this is we're headed in the right direction in keeping our health plan that we were promised. And you've taken on City Hall. You can fight City Hall, and
yes,
you could
can.
Win. So I just want to know how you got into this, but you certainly deserve, I think, a medal, if not the keys to the city, even though probably the mayor won't agree with me. But so tell us how you got into it.
Actually, I think Shakira got a key, so I might be in line.
Oh, okay.
And that was, I think, under Mayor Bloomberg.
Right.
But yeah, so actually there's a history to it. I am also president of the FDNY EMS retirees and started championing World Trade Center HealthCare after 9/11. To help responders and survivors. So when we weren't identified as getting sick from World Trade Center, I knew something was up because I was seeing our members get sick. And they weren't able to identify some of these autoimmune disorders that they were being diagnosed with. And I started seeing a pattern and brought it to the attention of the fire department. So we started then, and then it morphed into the Zadroga Act, and then that was that. And that kind of got settled, or at least partly. And then when this happened in 2021, I was concerned about them eliminating choices or passing costs on to retirees. So we started to question why this was happening. And I was asking different organizations, hey, are you going to fight this? And they're like, no, we can't fight it, or we don't have standing. I'm like, sure you have standing. You're a retiree. It affects you. You can do something about this. So that's how it got started. And actually, we're 2 years old this week. The New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees held its founding meeting Friday, August 13th of 2021.
Well, you're amazingly organized, because I got thousands of emails. I didn't know there were that many retirees, but from all over the country, by the way.
Yes.
And but a lot from my constituents saying, Councilman Holden, we need you to do this. And I said, I'll do it, I'll do it. But we're hearing from the other side, the unions were saying, well, we're going to put you into Medicare Advantage, right? And it's better, they said.
Yes, they did.
Then I have senior care. I was very happy with my senior care.
As so were many of us.
And you're in senior care.
Yes.
And it works for us. It's terrific.
Traditional Medicare with a supplement.
But we were being told by the unions, and I was on many calls. So we heard from them, and they were saying, we need to save money, and the mayor, they need to do this. It's too much money, and we're making a deal. But we said, is my new plan going to take my doctor that I have now? I couldn't get an answer on that. 90% or 95% of the doctors will participate. And it turns out we never got a list of the doctors. So you kept fighting, and you filed lawsuits and
several.
And you're batting 1,000, right?
We've won every time,
okay.
And even on appeal, we've done pretty well. It doesn't stop the fight, and we did just win another case, a very large case on Friday, and the mayor's office appealed that night.
And they're going to keep appealing, apparently, until this is resolved. But it's an issue that we have to find out why the retirees are not represented only by your organization. That was amazing, because we're in a union, like we pay union dues, reduced rate, but we don't vote for the president of the union. And they don't really represent us, do they?
No, and you're actually one organization of few that do have a dues for retirees. Under state law, New York State Taylor law, New York City collective bargaining law, unions can only represent those with wages, hours, and work conditions. A retiree doesn't have those.
Right.
And they can only collectively bargain, by law, for those in their units. We're not in their unit because we're retired. So that's how come a union can't represent a retiree. But it never stopped them from protecting a retiree. They always did it because they knew there wasn't that union protection. So it was important that they made sure that never at any time was a retiree benefit ever touched. Because once you opened that door, bad things would happen.
There'll be an avalanche, first of all. But you represent us.
Yes.
Which is like, because we had nobody.
Well, someone had to take control.
Yeah, and you did. You stepped up and you volunteered your time along with other people.
We have a good team.
But I've never, let me tell you, and I've been doing this now for 6 years in the council almost, and I've never seen an organization so organized. I mean, we would get hundreds of emails per day. Phone calls, pressure, social media.
Yes.
You know, we were talking about giving out rain barrels, and all of a sudden we get pounded with, what are you doing for the retirees? You know, and so that, you guys like were so organized. But I had a smile on my face because I said, you're representing me, because we had nobody else. With the union presidents, you know, they were telling us, well, it's going to save money. We can't sustain this. It's going to have to, you're going to have to change your health plan, and we got to save money. The city's going to go bankrupt. Well, those things were being told to us. Yeah, but who was representing us? You were. And that's why I think you should be given an award, a trophy or something. We should give you something.
Well, our fight's not over. Let's talk about that soon.
All right, let's talk about where we go from here.
Where do we go from here? We still have so much work to do because the city is in a situation that it made a deal with the unions going back to 2018. 2014 was the first one. 2018 was that second MLC agreement. And the reason why they're trying to scare everyone is there was one fund. It was called the Health Insurance Stabilization Fund. It's like that 800-pound gorilla in the room that no one really knows what it's for. And it actually pays the difference in premium between the two main plans, the HIP plan and the GHI plan that majority of the people are on.
Right.
And because that fund's been misused by previous mayors and the Municipal Labor Committee, that fund had no money. So what they did do was sell off retiree health care for a value to finance that fund. That's why when they say that they have no money.
So that's not right.
No, it's not.
And that's why you got involved.
Yes, and knowing this, because I used to work with my union, I did pensions and benefits, knowing that Medicare eligible retirees is the least expensive cost to the city. Our plans are the least expensive. We're not bankrupting the city. We don't really cost the city a lot of money. It was active worker plans and the under 65 retirees that cost the most. We couldn't understand why the unions were doing this. And then we started hearing the United Federation of Teachers and teacher meetings saying, well, the city said, if you give us back that plan for those Medicare retirees, we'll give you the money that we would have spent on them. I would never have thought I would have heard a union president say that. Like, okay. They should have said, no, we're not giving up those retirees. Right. But they didn't. And so they sold us off with the ruse that this Medicare Advantage plan was better than what we had. I don't know if it was that the insurance companies misled them or they were just wanting to find any source of cash.
But they didn't even have all the facts
to
argue. They would tell us, don't worry, your doctor will be in this plan. And then they said, then they went to 95% of the doctors will be in this plan.
You know where that came from? The insurance company.
Really? Okay.
Aetna,
so do we trust insurance companies?
Do you?
I mean, do we?
I don't know.
So we don't. So they're not working for us, like we said. You know, and that your organization represented us.
Yeah. And
the unions were trying to tell us that it was good. Some of the unions were kind of like, we want to stay out of this, and we don't want to get involved. I did speak to some unions who said, may not be.
And there's a lot of them against this. They don't agree with what their other counterparts.
But the bigger unions were really for this, and they were saying, oh, right now, and then when I was, talking to them, they said, well, your senior care doesn't offer free rides, so you're going to get free rides. I said, but am I going to get my doctor? Am I going to get my
Where are you going to take the ride to if you don't have a doctor?
Am I going to get surgery? Are they going to say yes to my surgery? Or, what? And nobody could tell us. They would say, don't worry, it's much better. And you get like 7 other things that we're going to give you, and.
Let's talk about a few of those real brief to make it as simple as possible. So we're fighting to keep traditional Medicare with our senior care supplement, right?
Right.
And the Medicare Advantage plan is privatized Medicare.
Right.
Now, unions would never have privatized anything, and this is what we keep trying to tell those that are listening. This is privatizing the public health benefit of Medicare. Medicare pays your first 80% of your health bills, and your senior care that we all love pays our last 20%, and it's a very small cost to the city. You don't have networks. Once you pay your deductible, you don't have any costs. It's a very good plan.
It's a great
plan, right?
Yeah, love it.
No hassles, no administrative problems.
And we earned it, didn't we?
And we earned it. We
Right.
pay a Medicare tax.
And we were told we can keep it.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so what happened?
You're hired.
Are we doing a commercial here?
For traditional Medicare,
Yeah.
which ironically, traditional Medicare is not allowed to advertise what Medicare Advantage is.
Right.
And then Medicare is privatized Medicare, and it has networks, and it has prior authorizations, meaning your doctor isn't the final decision maker. When he wants to have a test or a procedure for you, you have to get permission from the insurance company. And since they're for profit, they make their money by delaying and denying your care. That's not something that you want to deal with. And then you make a very valid point, Art, is my doctor going to be in this plan? But if he's not in the network, in this situation of Aetna, and he doesn't take the plan for payment, you have to pay that doctor out of pocket and then submit it to Aetna and hope to get reimbursed. The mayor's spokesperson, Jonah Allen, always says, well, this is great. It has a $1,500 cap on expenses. And I'm saying, but we didn't have expenses in senior care.
Right.
I didn't need a cap.
You didn't need a cap.
I don't need rides. The ride program is handled by Access-A-Ride, which is fraught with issues, and you have to make those reservations 48 hours in advance. You're lucky if they show up. They're always late. Sometimes they cancel. The silver sneakers, I always joke. I point to my sparkly sneakers and I say, these are the only silver sneakers I want. It doesn't make any sense that you would take a perk, something cheap that you may or may not need or use, to give pure access to an expert cardiologist or oncologist.
Right. So they would add on things that maybe senior care didn't have, but they were minor things.
Minor.
They were, but we could get turned down. 12%, I think,
yes.
Of the cases were turned down, that you couldn't have this surgery or you couldn't have this procedure. So that's what, I haven't been turned down on senior care. I don't know if you have.
No.
So we like our plan, and that's why we always had a choice, and we were told that we're going to have a choice. So my Union Professional Staff Congress of CUNY was, in the beginning, we weren't getting information that nobody knew. Everybody's calling each other. All the retirees were calling, should we do this, or what is a Medicare Advantage? And we weren't given any answers. And then finally, because I'm in the council, I got a pitch from some unions. Some larger unions would get on a call, a Zoom with us, and say, this is a good plan. This is a great plan for you guys. You can keep your senior care is, you might have to pay. In the beginning, they said we'd have to pay extra for if you wanted to keep it.
Right, that was
Remember
the
that
first
one?
ploy.
That was the first round.
Yes.
And you said no.
Yes.
We're going to win our case.
Yes.
And so I was even wavering, saying, I still want to keep if I only could keep my senior care this way, maybe that's a better thing to do. And you said, no, we're going to win.
Yes,
and I remember,
and people were worried about that because I had to take that position to understand that DC 37 retirees, of which I'm one, we are the lowest paid and lowest pensioned. We mostly couldn't afford the $200 a month to keep that plan. While there are retirees that could, the majority couldn't. So I had to say this shouldn't be a plan of haves and have-nots. Yeah,
but I felt it was a gamble at that point.
It was.
Because if we lose, what happens? Then we're going to go into Medicare Advantage and we won't have a choice. So that's why that was a gamble, but it paid off. You won. So that's why I'm following you. Whatever you say.
Knock on wood, we still
in healthcare, I'm going to listen to Marianne because you are, again, you figured out that we're going to win because we were right. You said the law is on our side.
All right, and the law said the city will pay the full cost of health insurance up to a specific benchmark, and I knew our plans were under the benchmark. I remember the history on this, and it goes back even to the last amendment that was made in 2001 with Councilwoman Mary Pinkett from District 35, and Peter Vallone, who was a speaker from Queens.
Great speaker.
Yes, and he's still a resident of Astoria, and this affects him too.
Still a good guy,
Yes. So I wanted to make sure we protected it because I know what we went through at the last amendment change, and I know that the unions then supported it. So I don't understand why DC 37 and the United Federation of Teachers kept coming out and saying this is illegal. And that's what they're still saying, it's illegal. But it's not illegal.
Right.
They actually supported it.
The judges feel,
yeah.
That it's not illegal. But why were you so confident? That's what, because again, you had good lawyers, or
Well, I have a labor relations background.
Okay, all right.
And when I started to dig into the history of this, we have something at our disposal as a resource is the Labor Wagner Archives, the municipal archives. I also am one of those people that keeps all of our official documents in a box, and I've got many boxes in my basement. And I thought I was the only
and
crazy.
You have everything filed.
I do.
Correct.
Very
Wow.
organized.
Wow.
So I can go by year or by issue.
Wow.
Because that's how we fought the Zadroga Act to get our HealthCare passed. Is we needed, we had to be very organized to do that. And again, grassroots. I mean, how many times did we go down to Washington D.C. to fight for that? So with this, because I was used to doing union benefits and healthcare, I was very familiar with the law, with the city council passage, with Mary Pinkett, with Peter Vallone,
So
all of those fights.
You did your research.
I did.
And you kept your records.
I did.
But how did you organize all these,
Never piss off a Sicilian from Brooklyn.
I know, but because people, you actually had people that were committed and would just email every day.
But it's not me that did that. This was inherent. This is retirees knowing what they earned and paid for and the promise that they had. And I wasn't the only crazy person with boxes in their basement. Retirees gave us books from the 60s,
Wow.
from the 70s,
Wow.
from the 80s, letters, newsletters from their unions, from labor relations, all saying the same thing we argued. So when we put an all call out, people flooded us. You could ask Michelle, our secretary. We were flooded with documents. So we were able to support our argument using the city and the union's own records to say this is why we were entitled to this.
So tell me why we need legislation on this, just as a backup?
Intro 1099 by
Right.
Council, that was
Councilman
sponsored
Barron.
Council Charles Barron.
Yeah.
So while, yes, we've been successful in the court, we had introduced Intro 1099 because we know that every time we've won, the city has always gone around the judge's decision in some way or another. First, it was that sham of a arbitrator's report,
Right.
Ordering the council to do something that it didn't need to do. And then the mayor eliminated all healthcare plans when you said it when we first started, that the New York City Health benefits program was founded
Right.
in choice, right? Yeah. And if we're good to our college educations, we know that choices keep that competition healthy among the insurers, where it keeps services up and prices down.
Exactly.
If we're being good economists. But Intro 1099 would protect the fact that you are still entitled to traditional Medicare. Intro 1099 does two things. One, it requires a city to still offer a supplemental plan so that you can maintain your traditional Medicare. Just like you have now,
Right.
and you've had since 1967,
Right.
when the law was first passed.
Right.
And then it also makes sure that the unions understand we're not infringing on their territory. We're not preventing any collective bargaining from those in their unit.
So it's the bill has 17 co-sponsors.
It does. You are one. Thank you very much.
Well, I always told everybody emailing me, don't stop emailing me. I'm on the bill, and I was going to be on it all the time. I just said I wanted to see the victories in court, and they were there. We won, thankfully.
Yes.
But why does the city keep appealing? I mean,
The Lorem Bunny, so these Medicare Advantage plans are federally funded. The insurance company actually gets the funding from the federal government, so that way the city doesn't have to pay for the plans. And that is why they want to do this, because then they could take that money and give it to the active unions, give it to the unions for their welfare funds. But not realizing that subsidy can change. In 2017, Medicare reduced what it was giving to the HIP plan, which is also a Medicare Advantage plan. And what happened then? They asked the city, hey, listen, Medicare is giving us less money than they gave last year. You need to pay the difference. And the city said no. And then the insurer said, well, you could either pass the cost on to the retiree. And the city said, no, we're not going to do that. We don't advocate for premium. And then they said, well, okay, the contract allows us to alter the services. And that's what HIP did. They carved out the drug plan, put a premium on it, And then they put co-pays where they didn't exist and almost doubled them where they did.
Yeah, our drug plan is great, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it? It's great.
You have a different plan than I do.
Oh, okay.
You're MBF
well, it's still great.
Yes.
I don't know about.
Yes, but see, you pay $100 and change for that plan.
Yes.
The drug plans on the marketplace, if you were to purchase one outside, run between like $6 and $80 a month. So there's still a high cost to that you could potentially have get on the outside for less money. And if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, you can't purchase another drug plan. You have to use the plan that they give you. So that then becomes an added cost. But these are reasons why we know that this program was born in choice and we wanted to keep it.
So what's your plan now? Because are we going to run? Is the city going to run out of time, or is the city going to keep punting?
I have no idea.
We don't.
We're fighting both. We have
you're
this appeal.
you're ready for them, whatever
we're
they.
Ready.
Okay.
I'm juggling like how many? 4 elephants
Marianne.
at this
Don't mess with Marianne.
this
I'm
point.
telling you.
We have 3 cases in court. We have this legislation we're working on. Where our team is not going to just put all our eggs in one basket. We just have really one. We want to make sure that we have different avenues in order to solve this issue, and we really do need the council to understand. So we have to work on some of your peers to get onto this bill for a 34-person veto-proof majority on this legislation.
And I know your retirees, your colleagues, are going to continue to bombard, and the word is bombard.
Rallies, calls.
Rallies outside City Hall.
Yes.
Yes, because
hundreds of people.
It's a very, very loud crowd, let's say. Let's put it that way, boisterous. But
it's the one thing they got left to fight for.
Exactly, because they're fighting for their lives. Actually,
it is.
It is.
And that
we
can't
can
be
joke
diminished.
about it, but
I mean,
it's true. That's why you see such, an aggressive. And a lot of council members took offense to that, and I said they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their health. And I think they are to be commended. We were just many of my colleagues were so surprised that you guys were so organized. And I include myself in that because I did feel that you were fighting for me, like I said, and fighting for all the retirees. And I would get calls from some of my fellow CUNY members who said, "How are you going to vote?" I said, "Of course, I'm a retiree. I'm one of you. Of course I'm going to vote with you." And we want to keep what we have, and that was the gist of it. I don't know where we'd be without you. So you have a tremendous ability to organize, but a tremendous ability to keep fighting. And you called so far everything right. So that's why I have confidence. That's why I'm here today.
Well, thank you.
To really almost thank you. And I wish I had a presentation. But we will have something at one point. We'll have.
It's not over. I mean, the fight's not over, and maybe that day we can all celebrate because I fight. Our team fights for the people that this truly does affect, and I have retirees, for example, Sally, who's a 35-year crossing guard. Her pension's $800 a month. She couldn't afford any changes at this point in her life. She's going through cancer for the 3rd time.
Well, that's what I hear a lot of.
Yes.
People who are going through chemo, and they don't need that extra worry to know if they're going to be covered.
They've been stressed for 2 years.
Right.
So that's the concern. And this is who we fight for. I have a retired firefighter in Florida. He's 58. He has severe kidney disease. His doctor and his hospital don't take Medicare Advantage.
Wow.
So he is now in the hospital fighting a systemic illness, a bacterial virus. And in order for them to take care of this systemic illness that he has, he needs a very large dose, toxic dose basically, of antibiotic. So if he doesn't, something bad will happen. If he does do the treatment, it's going to destroy the one kidney that he just had transplanted. So he's in a really tough spot. He doesn't need this. But so now he is fighting this, having to worry that maybe he'll either lose his life from the illness or, from kidney disease.
So our job, and my job included, to try to get more of my colleagues to sign on.
Yes.
And we want to get to a magic number.
34 at
34 least. Is what we,
and let's do this before November.
That's veto proof. And so we have to get this. Charles Barron is carrying the bill. And we have 17 co-sponsors, but like I said, we have to almost double that now, and try to get people to sign on, and really tell them that they're going to be retirees one day too.
Yes, this affects the mayors, the council
you don't want
persons.
the rug pulled out from under you at all. And you want to have people fighting, like right now, like you mentioned, people fighting cancer. They don't need the extra stress of not knowing if their bills are going to be paid.
The stories are heartbreaking. They really are.
And
that's
you've heard
what
them
keeps
all
us going.
probably at this point.
We do. I get 5 pounds of mail a week from my bookkeeper after he takes the checks out.
Wow.
And then after we won, I got a 20-pound box. So I read every one of those letters, and we actually do a video on our YouTube channel where we read some of them. It's very touching.
Yeah, so that keeps you fighting, obviously.
Yes.
And I'm just so proud of you. I'm just so proud
Well,
that you represent me. No, really, we'll have to give you a parade somewhere. I know, Mayor Adams, come on, you got to.
Come on, Mayor. He hasn't even met with me.
Really?
No.
Okay, maybe we can change that.
I'll meet in your office.
Once he meets you, I think he's going to.
He'll think I'm not crazy.
He'll be intimidated. I think. No, but it's amazing because I would go into the office, and I still do, and my email scrolls, and I see so many people saying, "Sign on to the bill." Don't worry, I'm on it. Don't worry, but they just are relentless, and because they are fighting, like you said, for their lives, and I want to thank you for everything you've done. You're amazing, and your people. You must have some good volunteers.
I have an awesome team.
And so we'll be out one day in City Hall celebrating this.
Yes, we will.
Celebrating a victory. You kind of are an inspiration to everyone out there. Keep fighting, even though you're retired. And it doesn't mean you sit back. Like Marianne just keeps fighting.
You too.
That's amazing.
Thank you for watching today. Thank you for joining us in the conversation. And thank you, Councilman Holden, for joining us for this conversation on municipal retiree health care.
My pleasure.
So if you'd like to reach us at the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees, you can contact us at www.nycretirees.org. And we're on social media, so come and join us.